Hello artists! So today I'm going to be showing you how to take a 2D object like a circle and turning it into a three-dimensional sphere. So we're going to be looking at how to create value to create three-dimensional objects. Here we go. Alright, so what I've done here is I've just created a circle. I've just drawn a circle on my paper. And then what I'm trying to do here is I'm imagining where my light source is. So right now I have my light source coming down from this part. If my light source were going to hit this way, then on the opposite side is where my shadow would be. So I've gone ahead and I've drawn this oval that kind of hits the bottom here. It's an interesting weird shape. It kind of goes behind the circle back this way, and then comes around to loop where it hits on the ground. And that's going to be where my shadow is. Alright, and then the other thing I've done here is I've gone ahead and I've kind of divided my sphere in half with a rounded edge. This is going to be kind of where my darker areas of my sphere are and where my lighter areas. So I've just picked out a colored pencil. I've picked out green today, and then I have my black and my white colored pencil. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and color in some of these midtones. The lightest part of my sphere is going to be towards the top here. It's going to look like a circle because that's exactly where my light is hitting. So I'm going to want to go around here with my green on all sides. And then I'm going to start to go with a mid-tone here towards the bottom where my line kind of hits, especially under this line here. So I'm going to do all mid-tones with just a green. Again, I'm going with a rounded I'm coloring with rounded circles here so that I get an even texture and I don't get a lot of lines. I do want to make sure though that I am kind of following the lines of my circle. So towards the edges I want to make sure I'm kind of following those lines of my circle. Alright, I feel like that's pretty dark. I've kind of gone around the edge here on the outside. I'm going to kind of, as I come in towards the center, I'm going to imagine that there's kind of a circle here towards the middle. That's my highlight. My highlight's going to be white. As I start coming into my highlight, I'm going to want to do lighter and lighter. I'm going to want to be very light with my colored pencil. So I'm going to start to round this off a little bit, and I'm going to imagine that there's another circle inside towards kind of this top area of my sphere. And I'm going to get super light as I come in. Just like so. And I'm actually going to leave part of it kind of white towards the center. Like it's going to get so light that it just is going to start to look really white. Then I can come back out and do add some more pressure if I need to add some more tones to get it to the darker tone on the bottom. Alright, already it's starting to look a little bit more three-dimensional than what it did. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to be adding some black into my areas. Now the darkest part of my sphere is actually going to be towards the bottom, but not quite all the way at the bottom. When the sphere hits the table, there is a slight reflection, a slight light part. So I'm not going to go quite all the way to the bottom. I'm going to leave part of it, just this straight green mid-tone, this part that kind of hits the shadow. There's a slight reflection there from the light that hits the table. But otherwise, I'm going to slowly add my darker tones of my black into my green. And I'm going to kind of come, as I come towards the middle here, I'm going to add less and less black so that I get a nice mid-tone. So I have my shades in here. My shade, I'm adding some black to any color. It's going to give me a shade. Notice too, when I'm going around with my colored pencil, I am following my lines, my circle lines, I'm starting out towards the bottom on this curve, and then as I get towards the middle, it's becoming flatter because I'm moving up the surface to where now I'm just adding slight little bits. I'm going to add just a tiny little bit to the outer edge of my sphere to make it look even more three-dimensional. And then as I come down, I would add in. I feel like I need some more at the bottom, so I'm going to add some more pressure in here. And I'm going to get this super close to the edge. All right. There we go. All right, now that I kind of have these midtones, I have a highlight and I have a darker shadow, and I'm kind of moving down with my green towards the edge here. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the shadow on the bottom. The shadow on the bottom, the darkest part of this shadow is going to be pretty much right next to the edge of my sphere, where my sphere is hitting the table. This is going to be the darkest area. So this is the point where I can just add just pretty much straight black. I'm making sure I'm keeping that slight reflection on the bottom, my little green spot. And then as I move out with my shadow, it's going to get lighter and lighter. It's not going to look as dark. So I'm going to make sure that I am using light pressure. Remember, I can always go back and add more black or more pressure to create a darker black for my shadow, but I can't really take away. So I'm going to keep adding a little bit more here. When it gets all the way out here, though, it's starting to get so light that it's starting to just look gray. And then I'm going to add just, I think, a little bit more black towards the middle of this shadow here. I think it needs to be just a little darker. There we go. To where now I have my darkest part. And to make this kind of stand out just even a little bit more, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw my line towards the edge of my sphere here and just draw this line right on bottom. Like that is the darkest part here. There we go. To highlight some of the edges, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take my green pencil and I'm going to go ahead and go around here towards the edge to give it a nice border. And then the last thing I would need to do is I would need to go in with my white here, and it's going to kind of even out my green here, even out my highlight a little bit here, and kind of mesh my green in. With my white, I find I can use a little bit more pressure. And then if I needed to go back and go touch up anything to make it look more round, like I'm noticing some of my lines in here need to be a bit more round. I need some darker areas kind of right up in here. There we go. And that is how to create a circle into a sphere. Happy experimenting!